Hello, please enter your six-digit conference code. Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are the host, please enter your four-digit host code to open the conference. If you are not the host, please press the star key to connect to the conference and wait. We will now connect you to your call. Please say your name. Your host has yet to join. Thank you for waiting. Your host has yet to join. Thank you for waiting. We will now connect you to your call. The host has joined the conference. Conference recording started.
All right, we'll start our morning meeting here, 9 o'clock, and the folders are being passed out. Okay. Brian, does town clerk tax collector get paid weekly?
That's that, this was the last monthly, and it goes to weekly.
Gotcha.
Because we were halfway through a monthly cycle when we made that decision.
I had the vague memory of that.
One there. A quick one. Mike, was that wording good enough that you needed for the USDA grant for that public hearing?
Oh, I, didn't get through that.
Oh, okay, it's coming your way then, all right.
Yep,
I didn't know.
cut it off the side right here. Thanks, Chuck. I forgot to do that.
Good morning, Dave. Thank you. right, that's a healthy check.
Yeah. Talking to school.
Must be the schools getting paid.
Well, I checked on, where we were financially on, Monday and asked Brian to cut the check. I mean, unfortunately, we're sending it out probably about 3 days late. Probably should have got to that last week, so hopefully it doesn't set off any fireworks, with the school. At least it'll be short-lived, I hope.
I went by the lot on, Old Town Road.
I was thinking.
Really looks nice the way they cleaned it up.
I was, meaning to get over there and I have some.
It makes that Brooks jump out even more, actually. It's like, yeah.
Clean that up.
Whatever it did, you're right, it looked good. I drove by there yesterday.
Yeah.
As Gwen mentioned earlier, I had contacted her again about some town-owned properties or properties the town is looking to take in an official capacity. It's work that stems back quite a few years, so she has been following up on that. I think there's probably gonna be about 4 or 5 that are gonna require more research still. But I think we're getting close to being able to finalize some paperwork on those, to be able to get a few things out to auction, get some other, properties that should end up with, like, the Conservation Commission, landlocked, that kind of thing, so. Hopefully clear them off the books, maybe sell a few, get a couple of dollars.
Is Old Town on that list, or?
It is.
Oh, good.
It is, it's one to go away. There are some landlocked ones that'll probably, solicit to, abutters, because they're landlocked, and we would do that under a provision that we're entitled to do. It's in our permanent file with DRA, but it would be, as justice may provide. There's about 3 different categories of being able to dispose of municipal property, and the Board of Selectmen has been approved for all 3.
Okay.
That's like the most broad. But when you can't really be selling them to Joe Schmo, because you can't get to the property.
Yeah, right.
So I think legally, it's, the way you wanna go is just to try and entice the abutters to purchase. Let's get all.
I got thinking of that fire department computer you gave me yesterday. Why don't I leave it here so Lenhart can put the Symantec on it when he's here Wednesday, and then I'll pick it up and take it over on Saturday when it opens.
Okay, that would be an additional semantic ad.
Well, we gotta do something on it.
Yeah, just.
Oh, yeah.
The, Department of Environmental Services is taking an interest around here.
And we don't need to do anything with that, right? That's just a notice to us saying, hey, New Hampshire DES is following up on a complaint on the water?
Yep,
They're in town.
they're letting us know they're in town, exactly.
Good.
Well, if I read the letter correctly, someone complained.
Yeah,
That's what triggered it.
that's all it takes. If you see an activity, you report it to the appropriate agency. That's why when some people come here and tell us, what are you gonna do about it? You should call the state. It's like, we don't have an exclusive right to contact the state. And the average, person in town sees something going on that falls into the state's category of enforcement, go directly to them. All right.
Chuck, are you familiar with that cash register at the station?
No more than what's there right now.
Do you know if it has the X and V value on the key?
No, but I actually have a picture of the manual for that. And the cover actually has a picture of that unit, so let me look at it when I go home. If not, I'll look at it when I get down tomorrow.
All right, well, I was thinking maybe if I could swing by there on Wednesday on my way home, or I don't know if I'm here when we're around, but if I go in there when they're open on Wednesday and look at that register, instead of me making a tally of each department, if there's a V value, you just click it on V and it does a total for each department, it breaks it down.
I gotta leave it on there.
Yeah. I added Mark about it.
You have to show Bill one time.
All right, I'll stop by there and look at the thing. That would make things a lot easier.
Check it, you had all those.
I got them all.
Much needed rain.
Yes.
You need it.
It finally came yesterday afternoon, so,
Did it?
yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah. You had the other one?
I believe I got to them all. Did you initial these? Maybe, maybe that's just that last one. Multiple page. Oh, fuck. My favorite people are unknown answers. Well, a lot of the states now unknown callers. Excuse me for a minute, gentlemen, while I attend to this.
I didn't put enough in those folders, you guys are all speed readers this morning, I don't know which.
They were kind of light. There wasn't a whole lot in them, so. And what was there was usually single page, not 4 or 5 pages of stuff to a document.
That is, the state calling back, one of many calls, and I'm have to return. All right, let's see, where were we? We appear to be through the folders, I think. So we'll go right into our agenda. And, ooh, anybody want to take this one? Okay. I'll settle for a second when I get there then, Chuck.
Yeah, I'll do the second.
All right, we're looking to approve the manifest in the amount of $379,969.70.
Second, Fuller.
All right, any discussion? I'm just gonna throw it out there why it's so big. We made a school payment for over $359,000. So our regular business was only running at about $20,000.
And we were only slightly behind on this payment?
Yes, this looks like it's gonna land at the school about 3 days late.
Okay.
Hopefully the school is not too upset by that. What can I say? I probably should have got to that a little earlier, it skipped my mind.
It happened.
All right then, all in favor of approving the manifest, please?
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Hal and I, thank you. Then we have the minutes of the June 23rd public hearing on receipt of USDA grant money, should it be offered to us. I make a motion to approve.
Hot second.
All right, all in favor, please?
Fuller, aye.
Hal and I. The June 23rd regular selectmen meeting minutes, I make a motion to approve.
Hot
And
second.
second with an amendment,
I-
the, L-chip grant money was $165,000, not $160,000.
All right, so,
That's what we got it.
just since we're on that, I noticed something on it. You are at what level of, funding for this now?
61%.
61% of your goal of 165,000.
No, we need to raise 150,
Okay,
so we've raised 90,800,
thanks.
so we're gaining.
90,800.
And every dollar that we put in between now and December is automatically matched dollar for dollar. So whatever we can raise from anybody, it's a buck for buck match.
So this effort, well, I came to you and several other people in 2018, probably.
In April,
Was it April?
it was.
And, so now, given you must have taken at least a month or two to get organized, to get your feet on the ground and running.
We did the research that summer, and the first meeting was in August here in this room.
So almost $91,000 you guys have,
Oh, no, we've already spent 50.
you've spent an additional 50.
Oh, yeah.
So we're looking at the efforts that you've undertaken with so many other people. I won't.
Oh, yeah, it's
you know,
not just me.
Right. You're at like $140,000 to basically preserve, restore, the town hall building, slash library.
I'm confident we have our side of the match covered. What we need to raise between now, the 90,000 and 150, is physically the dollars we'll need to spend. Because one of the things L-chip allows, if, like, an administrative fee for 5%, that's paper money. So I can count it on my side of the ledger for our 50%, but there's no money backing it up. It's a number. So that additional 60,000 we need is the 60,000 we need to actually do the work.
Hard cash.
So the total project could be about $330,000.
Wow. That's pretty good. What are the steps you're taking to go for the hard cash? Is there anything new on the horizon here?
We have identified 4 individuals that we're currently prepping a document for individually, where they may be willing to make a larger type donation. Whether that's straight up or with a match, we don't know yet, but we're going to go after that. We also, Grace Fuller and Jen Van Coor have been working pretty much weekly. They haven't over the last couple of weeks because they've just been recovering from what we've been doing. But we've got over 20 different foundation letters of intent, letters of request, and applications going out to over 20 different foundations for around $250,000. So the hit rate, if we follow standard hit rates, it's not like we get 20%, we turn down on 80%. If we hit our 20%, I'll have my 60 grand. So we're not counting on that. If we get that, that's gravy. At this point, we need to raise the hard cash to have in hand.
Wow, well, it sounds very encouraging, all the efforts to date and with a big campaign to solicit folks like that.
Yeah, and Jacobs Glass is installing the 8 replacement windows yesterday and today.
In the rain? They're doing it
Well,
from
it's from the
inside?
side, yeah. So it's this new channeling, because we're gonna have the weather, Going in. All the, window weights, have, all except 4. So out of the 8 windows, we were looking for 16 window weights, we ended up with 12. Because that building is what they call balloon framing.
Yep.
Where the channel where the weight is goes all the way down to the floor, it doesn't stop at the sill. And we're pretty sure the other 4 are somewhere down on the floor we can't get to.
Oh, really?
So we're gonna come up with 4 replacement window weights. They have to, 2 of them have to weigh 8 pounds and 2 of them have to weigh 9 pounds to appropriately work those windows.
So you're not removing any of the sills to be able to access
Nope.
down there?
No,
And how much space is available to access where those weights would be?
about 4 inches by 5 inches, and that's it. But it's down like 4 feet, so.
I have a magnet that may fit there, and this thing will lift an incredible amount of weight, and the size is probably
That would be cool, if we can do
close.
that. There was
It's on a rope, too.
that's good. Effingham Preservation Society had a board meeting last night.
Yeah.
And they, when I happened to mention this as part of the report for the month, they said they actually have a supply of window weights in their basement that have been collected over the years for different things. So Leo was running down there this morning with that to run up. Steve was bringing in his house scale. They were gonna weigh them up and see if they could find 4 of them that would kind of match.
I got some up in my barn too, I did my windows, I took them out.
Okay.
I saved a lot of the weight, so if you don't find any, I'll go through mine and weigh them up if you want.
Yeah, if you can, go ahead. I'm not sure we're gonna find them. So if you're willing, when you get home, just weigh them. And as long as they're close to 8 or 9, I think we can get them to work. But the windows look really good. I mean, the way they restored some of the glass that had been replaced over time, so we got more wavy glass back.
Yep.
And it's original pane wavy glass, not a pure reproduction. So that was done. All of the windows, the caulking and everything else completely redone, primed, painted. They look really sharp.
Right. Hopefully we'll get past the coronavirus so we can all go in there
And see.
see them.
Yeah, well, we'll take some pictures from the outside anyway, and I'll have some pictures. I'm gonna call it a project collage up on the, Historic Town Hall website, probably within the week.
I'll get that magnet over to you, because one of my concerns here would be that everybody might have some weight, but those windows are so big, I'm thinking the weight's probably...
That's why 8 and 9 pounds becomes critical.
Right, so I'll bring you the magnet, and you see if you can make it work.
Yeah,
And, go from there, maybe you'll get lucky.
yeah,
Great,
cool.
super. We didn't get to the approval part, I'm sorry, I'll make a motion, or if I have not already, to...
You did, and I seconded it, and I edited it. We just need to vote on it.
Yeah.
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Hal and I, sorry for going down the weeds there, but it seemed like it was worth the trip.
Yeah.
June 23rd, non-public meeting minutes, I will make a motion to approve.
Hold a second.
All right, all in favor?
Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Hal and I. All right, moving through our folders, we have an intent to cut on, map 406, lot 28, that's been filed. We have an approval from last week in there of the, copying policy, that is to say, materials we make copies of for the public here. There's a pricing sheet, so the new, fee schedule for copies has been, approved and is in force.
And it pretty much follows the county policy sheet for the same.
Right, good point. We're trying to stay, matching the county. Should be, pretty much bulletproof from a legal standpoint. That's what you can charge. We have a settlement for an abatement refund, in the folder, action folder. And under the, review of mail, let's see, the certificate of liability insurance, that's for the household hazardous waste day. I'm going to give you a quick update on that. The school has been going over Lakes Region Planning Commission's insurance so that we can have the household waste day at the elementary school. They also have the vendor trade B which will handle all the hazardous household waste, and their insurance certificate. There seems to be, a little bit of a lag in there of what the coverage that they need to have. So they've updated the coverage from Trade Beat to handle any spills. They sent that over to the school. But I'll tell you, the school, they're very diligent in taking a fine look at this. Again, they didn't see what they wanted to see in its entirety. So now, at this point in time, the entire insurance binder has been sent over, and they're reviewing that. So I'm hoping before the week is out, we'll know whether we are hosting the Hazardous Household Waste Day at the Effingham Elementary School, August 1st, between the hours of 8:30 and noon time. It looks good. We're gonna need to chase down about a half a dozen volunteers, though, if this takes place. 4 individuals to direct traffic basically into and out of the facility, and 2 people to take surveys. Just a very 2-question item, is what I understand, which is what town are you representing and how many households? So the towns and the households would be the question, not clipboard, stand back 6 feet kind of thing.
Yep.
So our volunteers will not handle any material, and you won't be in close contact with the public because nobody's allowed to get out of their cars. So if you know anybody, I'd say start lining them up now because this is looking pretty good at this point.
So if you get an okay on that during the week before our next meeting, let me know, and I'll print up some signage for down at the transfer station.
Yep.
So we've got something there for the weekend, and I'll print up or work with Chris to get some handouts where we can just hand out, and when somebody comes in on Saturday and Sunday, we'll just hand it out to them and say, here it is.
Yep. Tom, you want to say something?
As selectmen, are we required to be on there, or can we volunteer too?
You can volunteer, you're not required to be there, so yeah, you absolutely can. And if I get something, confirmation from Dave Jeffers at LRPC, I will certainly reach out to Brian and Chris here in the office to get that on the website and to get something into the newspaper to let folks know what's taking place. Another good thing to have happen. Let's see, we have a request for release for information from the State Department of Health, which was the phone call that interrupted the meeting, which I'll be following up on, so.
You want me to say okay?
Well, I'm gonna call her back and have the discussion, but we will be releasing that information. That's public information.
You're gonna take care of it.
I will take care of that.
I just wanna,
There's more to the discussion, though, that's why I was,
okay.
yeah. Letter from New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services regarding the potential violation on shoreline protection. So that's just a heads up for us. Zoning Board notice of a new date for a hearing on setbacks for one of the smaller lots in town. That's scheduled for July 7th. Anybody wanting to participate, I believe they put that on like a Zoom these days. So you may be muted, but they'll let you speak if you're in a butter. So that's a reach out to the Zoning Board of Adjustment through an email. Potentially you can contact the Selectman's office if you need to find out how to get in touch with the Zoning Board to participate in that hearing. Notice of the Elm Street Bridge closure, that went out, and again, that looks to be July 6th, which is a Monday. Chuck, you got a...
Are we gonna put these signage up ahead of time, so people that are commuting across that every day can see it and know that, come that Monday morning, they won't be able to get across it?
I was
asked by a couple of people if we were gonna do some early warning signage.
We don't have any signs that would tell you the date and time that that's gonna close. We are posting in both, newspapers, the Carroll County Independent and the Conway Sun, the website, and I don't know about signage. I mean, if we had, bridge closing on X date, but we don't have any, we'd have to make something up at this point. I don't think you could even order anything in that quickly.
Okay.
It'll have to be effective,
I was asked by a couple people literally yesterday, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, I'd check and find out.
And they knew that it was closing though, right?
They did, yes, but they know people that are using that do not live in town, and it's part of their commute.
Yeah.
And they were just saying they thought for the public service, having a bit of a heads up that it's gonna be closed starting June 6th would have been nice.
Well, this is, again, one of the ongoing problems we have here in messaging. And I'll throw it right back to the Green Mountain Road project when we did a stretch there. We did everything under the sun we could think of to get the message out to people, and literally had people living on Green Mountain Road that were surprised when this took place. So how do you reach people in other communities and stuff? You know, posting something on the road would have been great if that's their commute route. Didn't really plan for that, so I guess that's a learning lesson right there that we, you know, if you got any ideas, I'm fine with doing so.
And the contractor's putting up all the detour signs when they get here on
Yep,
that day? Okay,
they'll be responsible for signage.
okay.
It's in the contract.
I don't know the cost of the rentals like the state uses, but I can check on that. You might be able to rent 2 trailers with the light signs that just say bridge closed as of July 6th until further notice or something like that for maybe 2 or 3 days.
Well, here again, you know,
That might be cost prohibitive. I don't
well, that's
know
it.
what the cost is.
We're a small town with a tight budget, and our road commitments are already getting to a point where money's just not there, and inconvenience is probably gonna be the way to go, unfortunately.
But that's the only way I can think of.
Yeah, me too. Short time, yeah.
And I always worry about signage in the town of Effingham because our cones disappear. Somebody's gotta have a massive orange cone supply somewhere in a barn. When we had Dig and Do's were working for us, they put out road closed kind of signs of the big elaborate signs gone over a weekend. They were taken. So do we wanna rent something and then be, you know, then you gotta get the insurance because nobody likes signs around here. I don't know.
I'm good.
Okay, so, the zoning officer provided an update to services and some constraints on timeframes when, she'll be answering emails, Tuesday through Thursday.
In my experience, what she proposed will actually be more efficient to be able to get work out of the office.
I had no problems with it myself. I didn't see any issues. Tom, you,
No, read them, just run that by me again, I'm sorry.
the, zoning officer's update on, the activity to some level, there was no monthly report, but, about their office hours, which is Tuesday through Thursday. Since she's not in the office, she'll be responding to emails through that time period.
Only on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Tuesday through?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, phone and email response plus regular work. Monday and Friday, strictly regular work and prepping cases and responses to whatever's gonna happen with follow-ups from permits and cases and.
I don't even know how long this is gonna go on for, or?
Well, Rebecca's concern is related to the COVID virus, which is taking an uptick. I was reading some things on the, how the stems break away on these COVID, whatever they are, they're not cells, I guess. But, now there's a mutated strain that's like 10 times more resilient because the stems don't break away. We've got, a week ago, 23 states are on the rise. This morning I was seeing something that said 30 states are showing rise.
I saw 36 last night.
And across the globe, it seems to be, just a reemergence. So I would say it's indefinite as well as this building, you know, until.
I'm good with that, yeah, I mean, I understand that, there's a lot, even she stated there's a lot, there seems to be a lot of action right now.
And the biggest thing is to make sure we're using the correct addresses, the zoning officer at Effingham.net, I believe it is.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's on the website.
It is.
So I know the office has a second email for her that we should not be using for the public.
I'm good.
All right, then. This goes to, Brian. It looks like you've got some comments here, sir.
Well, first of all, I signed the contract for the 10th to the 6th of September.
8th, I hope.
I mean, whatever that Tuesday is.
I'm happy for it to set up on the 6th. long as it's still set up on the 8th.
Well, we've all gone back and forth on that date probably 6 or 7 times, but and there is no deposit.
Right, we caught that last
And,
year.
and we can cancel up to 2 weeks before with no penalty.
Yeah.
And, what was the other thing? There was one other thing that,
We could add heaters should we need them,
right up until they leave the place to come set the tent up.
and,
Lights too.
and lights is a thing that Tom was on, it was a good pick, he let me know that he was
I
investigating.
think lights are included.
I called her and talked to her myself.
Another, yeah,
Yeah,
180.
yeah, $180 extra for the lights, pole lights, reset the pole lights.
And that,
You added that.
Yeah.
well, she hasn't added it, it's an add-on we can
Yeah.
call for,
We can,
in which case we probably should wait, because if the COVID virus
all right,
blooms again, we're not entirely sure that the school will open on the 8th. So, I mean, you can use your best judgment if you wanna just not have to remember it, add it to the order. If you wanna wait till later on, that's fine, you know, use best judgment what you think is.
and the lights can actually be yay and nay right up until the truck gets on, the equipment gets on the truck.
And I think lights are probably good. My personal feeling, you guys tell me what you think, but if we have an overcast day like today, lights are gonna be a necessary item. And for counting, once you get past 7 o'clock or whatever, even though it's summertime.
Yep.
So I think the lights are a mandatory item. Okay, all right then.
Now, I'm gonna leave the next one to last. You're gonna talk about the school letters, but
Yes.
as I was reading through them, the only thing that I would ask that you make a little clearer is you talk about the school year, being 2019 to 2020,
And then we're looking for a reduction, not a rebate.
but we wanna be clear that if we're doing their fiscal year or our fiscal year, I think.
Right, their fiscal year is 19 to 20.
Their fiscal
June
year
ends.
is July 1 to June 30.
Right, so now that's ending. So you would have been in 1 year going to the next, 19 to 20. That has ended now as of June
For them.
for them. So if they have an excess of money, we'd be looking for them to apply that to a reduction going forward. That was my thought in the wording.
And I just think, and I understood that, but I just want to make it so everybody else, because I don't know if any of the other towns are on a fiscal year different than a calendar year either, so it might make a difference to them. That was the only comment I
I
had.
think, some of the larger towns might be SB2, Wolfboro might be,
But SB2 doesn't change,
change the years, right?
but they have to do that by a vote of the town.
So, yeah, I think, well, one of the things, I did some tweaks this morning, which I'll supply, which is to add a second page that kind of outlines, insert your town name here and here, and I spell that out, and also I put it in there that it's a Word document that can be amended to your needs, and just for them to mail it directly to the school rather than try and get things back and us coordinate anything. Because we're sending ours no matter what.
I might also add that ask them if they'll just email what they send to the school to the other member towns, so we know who's on board.
And then, after this meeting, I'll be supplying more because like I said, was tweaking something and sending it to Chris before I left the house today. And, I will check with you and Chris to make sure we've got the most up-to-date versions once we're through here and everybody's had to get to pick through the letters like you.
When do you wanna sign it?
I would sign it today. I would say that if we're
I'm
all,
comfortable if you sign it as the chair without us being here, unless the letter's ready to go, in which case we can,
I believe ours is ready to go.
oh, okay, then good.
And then going to the other towns is for functionary, I don't think we need to actually even sign it from the board. So, but the one to the school is, on for us, I believe, is ready to go unless Brian has some wordsmithing that he had concern there. Or if anybody else thinks the wording is somewhat misleading, ambiguous, or incorrect.
No, I'm ready to go on that.
Speaking of the wording, what was the request, we're not using abatement, we're using what?
Well, it's in the letter.
Yeah.
We'll cover that. I wouldn't get too detailed on the minutes as far as what it is. It's just
Because
gonna
we
be
can
the
just
letter.
attach the letter to the minutes.
Yeah, we could do that. That would be,
Attach a copy of the letter to the minutes.
You wanna do that? Okay.
sure. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Easier.
And I think it's good for the record down the road, so
Yep.
that works.
Randy made a comment at the work session about having another extrication training session and allowing the public to play with the jaws of life.
I think that's down the road in October.
That's in October, but your concern is maybe insurance or liability.
Liability of having the public playing with the jaws of life. That's, I just wanted to raise that issue before we get there, if that's what we decide to do, to make sure we check with Primex and make sure we're covered.
Feel free to do that. You know, check in with Dave Witham or whoever's our, you know, if he's no longer the case, manager for us, and see what the thoughts are on that. And if there's, they may want clarification on what the process is, and for that, we can talk to Chief Burbank.
It made me a little nervous, when he said the public handling the jaws.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's,
Okay.
I think we ought to check on it, because I believe there's a liability issue, yeah.
could be, okay.
If there's not, I'm comfortable if they wanna do that, but
I'm comfortable as
I
long
just think we ought to check it. Yep.
All right,
I think it's a good plan. I think it's good for the public.
yeah.
I want to make sure the town's protected.
You know, an interactive thing, yeah.
Lynn Harp Associates will be here tomorrow, working on, the security on the system and also fixing the email issues on the system. So I guess I'm saying this because if you guys have problems with your email on effinghamnh.net, they're gonna be here 9:30 tomorrow morning, and it's the time to pick their brains and have them fix it for you. Last item is I did send a note to Michelle Clark yesterday, on how to account in the record-keeping system for the $225,000 carryover for the Elm Street Bridge. Mike and I talked about that a little bit, how to account for it and make QuickBooks work, because I really don't want to add it to the budget because it was a carryover from a previous budget. So I'm looking, do I call that a liability? What do I do? Also, I did notice, and I suspect you know it, but I wasn't here for that meeting, that none of that money was raised by taxation. It all came from the unexpended fund balance, and that was right in the warrant article. So I just want to make sure I carry it correctly in the books. I just want to let you know I'm doing that.
And you did, I think I sent it to everybody. I picked out the 12/23/2019 budget, the actual, where it was in QuickBooks before the chart of accounts got changed. It had one small, well, not real small charge, $2,500 against it.
And that was at it, and that's correct. I just want, because that was part of DRA's records for the budget, for the town meeting of 2019, it showed there. And you probably carried it over because it was already under contract and I had that signed document. I just don't know how to, I can't see where to carry it over in the books. So that it doesn't try to increase this year's budget bottom line, because it doesn't. It was carried over from the previous year. And so I just wanted you to know I'm looking at that. So if you look at a budget action, you don't see the $225,000 yet, is because I'm still trying to figure out where to put it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's in there, and we know it was part of the budget, so.
And it was passed, and
Yeah.
it's just how to carry it from one year's books to the next year's books. So DRA and the auditor will both not have a canary.
Well, as long as you don't make it so that we can't spend the money, then the canaries are all in this room.
I won't do that. If someone else does it, I'll blame them. I guess I wanted to let you know that the library has asked for their second half payment. They did send me a little bit of a chastising note, saying there was a decision made by the Board of Selectmen several years ago about the dates those were supposed to happen on. I'm not sure how I was supposed to know that. They could have sent me a notice saying they wanted it, but, and the supervisors of the checklist bought a printer. They don't have an equipment line item, so where am I supposed to put that on ours?
Under our, I guess,
They haven't got an item.
Because I thought they were gonna use the printer that was already out there, but that's just not.
they don't have a budget for equipment or anything? I know they have a salary line, is that all that they have?
They have that, and they have postage, and they have, I don't have a budget budget for right in front of me.
I have their actual budget sheets. What are they under? Line item wise.
The supervisors have their own budget.
Yeah, no, that's what I have with me, I just need to know what line item their budget would be under. Are they a 41 or a 42?
41, 41?
41, they would fall down like that.
First page, Mike.
Okay, thank you. They have, let's see, supervisor of the checklist. They have software support, which has been zeroed. They have workshops, they have supplies.
It could be listed under supplies.
I would put it under supplies, and I would think they're gonna have sufficient amount of unused funds under workshops to pay for it. So rather than putting that under our already strained line, yeah. And they'll just move things around from a line item that's not being used.
And Chuck, if you'd let the library know that the monies will be in next week's.
Good.
I think, while you're on the library, I wanna get back to that one. I think maybe we should establish here that the library needs to send a request for the funds. And that way, there won't be any chastising. It'll be on them to say, you know.
It's a nice chastisement.
Well, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of nasty over it, but I think it would be nice for them just to send something in, because there's so many items that your office has to, you know,
And it
dole out.
also gives us something for the auditor to see, to connect the check to the library to the request for the funds.
I think it's reasonable. Most other, agencies and whatnot we deal with, they send it in. It's just kind of a reminder. It's nice for the person who sits in your position, who may not have the wisdom of the ages on their side.
Send the request when you need the money.
You know, that's.
I'm good with
I was
that.
gonna send it after July first, because I was cutting a year and a half.
Yeah, that's good.
No, it's also on the tax cycle.
Apparently, it was agreed that it would be, half of it would be paid in January at the first of the year, and the other half would be paid right after town meeting at the first of April. Apparently, that was the agreement that existed in the past.
Well, the new agreement can be in July, the first week of July, and if that's not adequate, then maybe they need to tell us why they need the money in advance, and certainly if they've got a good reason, we can amend it, but it follows with the tax cycle, which kind of relieves some of the financial burden, should it come after somewhere in at least June. And even if we did something towards the end of June, we should have money coming in to do that. But maybe you can work that out with them to see what they would like to have, and then we'll just go with that. All right.
That's it for me.
Excuse me?
That's it for me.
Okay. All right then. Turn this over to Mr. Hart.
Yeah, not much last week on my end. But
What ails you?
Good for you.
I did speak with, I placed a couple calls to Michi Corporation on containment system for transfer station, see if their precast division. They actually didn't answer precast, and when I called back the second time this morning, got someone in the office, a guy, they sent me out the precast, and it went back to their phone, saying that they're all tied up out there. They'll get back to you at some point this morning. So, that's all I got on that. I should have probably did it earlier in the week, slipped my mind. I apologize, but we're on it.
All right.
That's all I got, guys.
Quiet meeting, all right. Mr. Fuller?
Okay, so I have an add-on that I hadn't prepared, but yesterday afternoon, Monday, June 29th, at about 4:27 in the afternoon, I had the occasion to be following Evans Brothers tractor trailer up Townhouse Road. Looks like they were moving the culverts over to Green Mountain Road. They were two huge culverts.
Okay.
When all of a sudden they had to put on their brakes and come to a complete stop in front of 670 Townhouse Road because there was a white dog in the road. So Kate had not had her animals under control again, and the dog was in the road. So he waited till the dog got up, he waited till the dog moved over, and then he started down the road again. As I started to proceed behind him, the dog walked right up in front of my truck, and I laid on the horn for about 20 seconds. The dog finally moved off the road 2 feet, and as soon as I went by, he went right back out in the middle of the road.
So, again, we have not gotten the PD in for some discussions. Is that something that you two gentlemen?
I think we need to get the PD and the dog officer in here to find out what steps can be taken, because I'll file a complaint. If it's a case where somebody needs to file a complaint on this one, I'll be more than happy, because it was clearly not on her property, it was out in the road.
Well, we had, wanted them in, well, I'll say you two gentlemen had asked to have them in, and I don't
know what happened about that, 'cause
well, I know there was a little concern, you got contacted, didn't realize you got contacted,
Right, yeah.
There wasn't any real effort there to,
no, and then
okay. When would you like to,
I will reach out today,
okay.
and do we want to have him in next, during the work session, the regular board session, how do we want to do it?
Well, I think it's gonna be a non-public session, because this is not the only issues, I think, but you guys had the concerns initially, which I'm not saying I don't support your concerns, I do. So,
We got a work session on the 7th. We got an 11 o'clock
yeah, sure,
call with DRA, so could we do it at the beginning of that?
sure, I mean, we can be in earlier than that on, that's on
That's a
the
Tuesday.
7th,
We'll do it after that meeting. Do it after the DRA call, go to a non-public and handle it then?
I guess, sure.
Okay.
About 11:30, 11:45, how long?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 11:45, that way if the call goes over a little bit.
Okay,
are you gonna contact him this time?
Yep,
Okay.
I'll take care of that.
okay, PGA Tours, sorry.
All right, white dog down. Let's see, next on the list.
Is that like Black Hawk Down, White Dog Down?
I had an occasion to talk to a couple people yesterday. So when the detour starts, it looks like one of the possible roads is gonna be Hutchins Pond Road. And I had seen something on Facebook about a week and a half ago, although I don't think the office had gotten any formal complaint, that there were some craters out there. So I took a ride out yesterday afternoon. We need to put a grader on that road. There are two sinkholes that if there's two vehicles going side by side, the one headed west into Ossipee will literally go in the hole and ground out. And they're good sized holes. They're like 3 feet by 4 feet and about 1.5 feet deep. They're saucer, they're like bowl shaped, but they literally go right down and right back up again.
Before you get to the bridge?
Yeah, no, after the bridge.
Great, after the bridge, I think that's the Ospey over there.
Well, I looked at it on the map last night.
Yeah.
We have a very large chunk of that road that's ours in Effingham. And all the stuff I drove over yesterday where you could lose a vehicle was in Effingham.
I went out there earlier in the season, and I got spots that were definitely not Effingham, and like you said, it was incredibly bad.
Yeah, there's one that's about 300 feet, if you come off the bridge about 300 feet, where earlier in the year, there was a heavy vehicle, probably a truck of some kind. The rut is about 8 or 10 inches deep, So if there is a car that's going over there and they happen to go in that rut, they will bottom out the vehicle.
I know Ron, I spoke to Ron yesterday on some issues, and he did mention Hutchins Pond.
And I would be more than happy to, if Ron can determine where that line is, if we put some kind of a marker up there so we know what it is. Doesn't have to be a big sign, but just a marker where we know where the line is.
Yeah, the town line, I'm sure we can.
But there was, you know, I know we're tight on the real budget, I know we were trying to avoid doing anything, but because of this detour, and we know that road's gonna be used, and it is in horrible shape.
Well, he's, we had hoped that we were going to be, putting calcium chloride out today. My hope is that that truck did not show up due to the rain. And grading has been resumed in certain areas like on Bonnyman, so there are roads
Okay.
that haven't, Bonnyman, Molly Philbrook had a sinkhole to soft sand, so those roads were not calcium chloride, a very little short portion down, towards the granite end, it was done with calcium on, Molly Philbrook.
Yeah, and I took the opportunity to drive up Molly Philbrook right up on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And that road, compared to some of the other roads in town, is in pretty good shape.
That's surprisingly good news. But we,
Because when I drove over Clough Road and Granite Road, I thought I was gonna lose the front end of my vehicle. The washboard is so bad, even at 10 to 15 miles an hour, the back end of my truck kept kicking out because of the amount of washboard that's there.
yeah, I did have, some folks at the transfer station, say that it was bad, and the only thing I could say to them was, until the calcium's coming back in, which we did that road already
Yeah,
this
we did that.
year. I really wasn't gonna spend a lot of, grading money until we're ready to, and we, at that time, on Sunday, I didn't know calcium was available.
Yeah.
So,
I'm wondering about the grading part, because I slowed down and really looked at the washboard, and the washboard goes completely across the road. Even in the side areas where the vehicles aren't traveling, the washboard shows up. So I'm wondering if we can ask Ron, is this a grading issue?
so let me ask you.
I don't know the answer to it, I'm just asking.
No, I know, but and I've seen this pattern in the past on that road, just what you're describing, but it's very close, compacted ripples.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of an anomaly because in grading, there's a thing where you could go too fast and the blade jumps, but Kevin doesn't seem to do that anywhere else.
okay.
And the other thing was, if you grade a road and it's all done nice and you come through with a rake, sometimes the rake can cause that effect after raking and rains come. It's just some kind of if you go too fast with the rake. We tend not to rake because it's an added expense that for the most, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Some people believe in it, other people don't. I have been with state professionals that grade, like have been grading for decades, that teach grading at the state level. And one of the things they say is, I do this for my community as volunteer. So when they're short, I run the grader in my community with the stipulation, thou shalt not bring a rake on my road after I have graded. So to me, I adhere to that. We don't need raking. It's an added expense and I don't believe in it.
No, I was just curious, because as I was really looking at it, it's like, it's not just in the travel portion, it's like
Sorry,
across
it's
the
only
whole
on
road.
Granite Road, that's stretching. It's
And I've got a stretch on Snow Road, after they get done doing the grading up there, within
really?
a week, same thing there.
Really?
There's one whole side of the road where it goes right out to the ditch, and it's all jumpy washboard.
All right, well, I'll speak with Ron again on, getting him out to, the problem areas, that you've mentioned, along with, I know Jack Russell hasn't been touched yet. I'm sure there's more.
Just on that, we also have, been hearing around, we have people driving like,
Oh, yeah.
tearing them up, these roads after we get done grading them, they're out there tearing them up.
Yep.
So I don't know, more patrols out there?
Well, he did have, occasion to be with the PD briefly, on other issues, and that was brought up.
Yeah.
As to what's taking place, and that can go down to our meeting, because one of the things, was intoned from the sergeant was, oh, that individual has been spoken to or has been taken care of. And I didn't get into it, but my mind went to me, what do you mean taken care of?
Yeah.
You know, you gave them a stern finger wagging, you said, hey, please don't do that, you arrested someone.
Unless you're physically there watching them do it, you can't take them up.
Well,
So, or unless we could get it on a game camera or something like that.
the thing is, I don't know what he meant by the comment,
Yeah.
so, to Tom's point, it's a question for the meeting.
Yeah, right. That's costing us town a lot of money, whoever's doing that out there, when they do it. It's costing all your neighbors and everybody else in the town a lot more money, because we've got to regrade it. So, if you see them, call the PD.
Okay,
They're doing it up where Snow Road and Culver Hill are.
Yeah, it's
That sharp turn. You can see where they've done it, and there's trenches where they actually dug it up right around the corner. So it's like,
well, you have to drift around the corner, you can't
Yeah,
fly off the
yeah,
road.
yeah.
Drifting track, that's
yeah, I got it. So let's see, last week I, updated the communication services proposal, sent that out. Lo and behold, I got a call from Spectrum yesterday. Mike, the reason I hadn't heard from him in the last 2 weeks is he is a new father. So he was out for 2 weeks, and he was diving back into it yesterday and said he'd have something for us this week on that. I also forwarded, vacation information from Madison and Freedom out of their policies to the board and to Brian. I also I pulled together the police department and the fire department ordinance information and created a new draft document that we can review at some point on an alarm ordinance. Lenhart, working with Brian, came up with a secondhand computer in really good shape for the fire department to replace the antique one that's down there. I believe that was $175. It included the computer, the screen, Windows 10, the whole bit. I will leave that computer here today, so when Lenhart is in tomorrow, they can install the cyber protection, and then I'll work with Randy to get it set up down at the fire department on this weekend. If they're there on Saturday. They're not there because of the holiday, they'll do it the following week. There was a communication I saw that we got a capability to order 500 masks for transfer stations.
Saw that.
I'm not sure we need to, based on everything we've already purchased and the supply that they have there.
Those were free though, were they not?
They were, but it also said because of the quantity, they never expected you to use them, so kind of network with other towns. And I'm not sure about the networking part of it.
Yeah, I don't know that we really would network. It's disjointed working with most of the towns, it seems, because does anybody have an interest on the other select board? You may have a thing you want to move through, others may think, it's not a big deal. I wouldn't be opposed because it's free to get them, only because of what we're seeing nationally happening. So I don't know if this is going to get worse and we're going to be in a situation where we're really going to start clamping down on.
So is that something we have Brian respond to the email saying, yes, we want to do it, or?
Sure, I guess, Brian.
Can you send it over to me?
Yeah, well, it was one of the ones you printed out for today. It
Oh,
was
I
in the,
probably did that.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, Christine
Chris
can
has got
reach
it.
out,
Okay,
right? You can
yeah.
take care of that, Chris?
You just, what did you get, that one that says if you want to order 500, respond. Just respond, tell them we want 500.
Can I just, you see the reaction on the face? That's because of so many emails coming to Effingham.
Oh, yeah.
.nh. We can't keep track of
Do
them.
you want me to resend the email to you? Because I think that's the,
No, I'm sure I have it, thank you.
well, yeah, you don't even spend an hour looking for it. I'll just resend it to you, that way you'll have it quickly.
Okay.
All right?
I hope after tomorrow, a little bit of this will be relieved, because one of the things that's happening is Christine and I can't flag a message and have the other person see the flag.
Yeah.
And they're gonna fix that tomorrow, they said, so that if she handles it, she can yellow flag it, and then I know it's done, or if I handle it, I can yellow flag it, and she knows it's done.
Okay.
But right now, that's not happening, so both of us are trying to deal with those emails, so we make sure they're all at least covered.
Okay.
That's why you might be getting duplicates of things.
Have noticed that.
Chuck, but you're being thorough about it, that's the important part.
Chuck, on your phones, one of the questions we had was consolidated, would they break out the internet from the phone?
The answer is, yes, they will, but we can't afford it.
That's what Brian's point was that,
Brian actually made the call
yeah,
after our last meeting to see
okay,
if we could unbundle, and they basically said, we're not even gonna quote it, because you can't afford it.
nice.
Now, seems how you're talking about that, I've gotten some more information on the cost. As you know, I've been a little bit uncomfortable with toll calls and what's that gonna cost. I talked to the representative. No, this is good.
This is,
No, I think you're not alone. My concern is that.
yeah, but he got some good news.
At this point in time, in the proposal that they've put together for us, there's a $5 a month charge that allows all of the phones to do up to 180 minutes a month of toll calls. For an additional $5, you'll get a total of 360 minutes. He recommends that we don't even go the additional $5 because he doesn't think we'll use the 180. And he uses an example, Carroll County, because Carroll County has the same system. For all of their operations, jail, sheriffs, the whole thing, they pay $50 a month, and they don't use all the minutes that they get at the 50. So he thinks that we're not going to have any additional cost to toll calls. If we do, we can up it by $5 a month and double our time.
Okay, per line, you mean?
Total system.
Well, that's,
Now, I just thought of the fact, I got to tell you that I need to probably pin him down because that might be, this is one system, 68 School Street, and the fire department is another system.
Not the way he and I have been talking.
Okay, I just happened to think of that as I was explaining it, yeah. But anyway, that was that alleviated. Now, he did say the toll calls were probably calls outside of a roughly 10-mile radius. And he said that's a rough estimate of where you are, because you're right near the Maine border, so anything over in the Maine may wind up a toll call, and you might get as far as Conway and not be in the toll call, and that's more than 20 miles, but Wakefield, he says, so I'm telling you, it's about a 20-mile radius.
You would think anything within the 603 area code would not be a toll call.
That's not what he said. Anything at
Automatic.
539 and 81 over
If
exchange.
it's outside 539, you're okay, but.
That's something, yeah, well, that's outdated.
So, I also had a discussion with Genuity Networks again. And I had half a dozen other people on the line because I had raised the issue that they cannot provide the coverage for the transfer station because they don't have internet out there. And their engineers basically came back and said, what's the service like in that area? And I said, there's no cell service to speak of, and there's like no internet up on Snow Road in that area. And we were talking about the library and the height of the bell tower and wherever. So they actually are going to put together a proposal which would beam a signal from the library over to the transfer station. They would like to do that. I told them, knock yourself out, but I'm not sure we can afford the cost. But they actually want to look at it. So they're actually going to take a look at something that's apparently in technology today that would get the signal that they need over there. So don't know what that looks like, but if they come back, we'll see it.
I also touched base with him, and I shared this with Chuck. I don't think I shared it with the others. But consolidated is a package deal. If you try to break up the package, it changes the cost.
Yeah, we just got that, which brings me back to that. If I'm looking at what Chuck had provided earlier for pricing, without any $5 add-on stuff, we had a price here of $227.05 a month versus what we were paying today. And then I guess we have Spectrum was in there, that whole thing too, right, Chuck?
Did you print the new one?
I don't believe I did.
Yeah, the new one I put a whole lot more detail in.
Okay. Cause I've got, on your old price, was
And I think-
$727, did that move?
I didn't print my copy this morning, I rushed out of the house and forgot it. So I don't know, I'd have to open it up, take a look at it. None of the Spectrum prices moved. The baseline $5 that Brian talked about is built into that existing number already. So that 180 minutes for those different lines is already baked in there.
Okay, well, it looks to me as that we'd be looking at, I don't know, about $66, no, $66.
It's in the neighborhood of 60.
Yeah, $66 a month
Is that the new one?
more.
Yes, that is the new one.
I only have that one.
Yep. Yeah, Mike, the new one I had all kinds of footnote information on too.
No, that's the old one.
So, again, I think we were at the part where if we went with consolidated, we were looking at roughly about $800 approximately, and then with some.
$796.08.
That's what I have here. And then if we had that additional cost, if we were considering about $1,200 a month or however we got there. So,
What additional cost, Frank?
well, at that point, I think we were looking at some other, internet connections or,
No, this includes
Was it?
everything. The $796 per year includes the whole shooting match.
right, but
The only thing it
we got
doesn't-
to $1,200 on some other issues. I forget what that was, toll calling, what have you, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, because with the information Brian found out, the last item that you have in your hand, version 2 or 3, I had actually included an estimated $30 a month in addition to for long distance calls, but because of what Brian found out, that even the county doesn't end up using that additional $5 per line, I'm comfortable leaving it off as far as the proposal, because I don't think we're gonna hit it.
That's $5 per line, you said the whole package per month.
$5 for the whole package.
Right, so $60 a year.
Yeah.
All right, so again, we're now
And
at.
the 30's automatically in
No,
it.
wait a minute, Mike.
The first 30's already in it.
5 you've already got in the proposal.
Okay,
If you add another 5 to it, then it's $60.
Right. And he's saying don't add the other 5 at this time, because he doesn't think we're gonna need it.
okay. All right, then,
So the first 5,
go ahead, Chuck,
first 5, so that covers basically 3 hours of
Per line.
long distance
Yep.
per line.
180 minutes.
per month. Okay, so, right now, we're, basically, again, about $800 a month for our full upgrade if we went with consolidated. Is that still accurate, Chuck?
$796 a month is what it would cost, I mean, a year rather, is what it would cost us to upgrade.
Okay.
With everything.
And Spectrum is still now going to put a proposal
Hey.
in?
I'm not sure Spectrum is, they're gonna put a proposal in, but I'm not sure because of their internet prices. They're higher than CCI already. So if we add in a phone, even if it's equal to where we are with some of the other phone ones, they're still gonna be higher because of their internet cost. I don't mind waiting to see what they come up with, but
All right, well, this is where I'm going with this. Unless Spectrum throws in a very competitive proposal,
By what date?
well, that's
how we've been sitting on the fence for
The date.
Spectrum for a year and a half now.
That's why the date is open in my conversation at this point. The point
I told
being,
them I needed it this week.
so this is my point, is we need this done a long time ago. So unless Spectrum's proposal is really a big deal, it's very competitive, we want to look at it, I would say by the end of business Thursday, since you don't work, Brian, on Friday, I would propose we go with consolidated and get this done, unless people here don't think that's a wise move. You tell me
When you look at what I sent you the other day, because I provided a lot more detail and backup detail,
can't believe
in my note, it was pretty specific, that I think once you look at the updated spreadsheet, the decision is pretty easy,
okay.
and it is 100% consolidated. It is more money, but when you then start looking at the features and benefits we get, it's superior in every way to any of the other combinations that are there. And it's dealing with one vendor. If we don't do that, we'll be dealing with 3 vendors.
And the consolidated price will go up also, because once you don't have the package.
No, this was the way, if we didn't do the consolidated new proposal, and we did Genuity, Spectrum, and, current consolidated, we'd be dealing, so if we don't do the solid one, we're dealing with a minimum of 3 vendors to get our services, and I don't think that works well based on what I have observed over the last year and a half.
Well, and also, any one of them can move a price point at any time.
Yep.
Then throws.
And Spectrum does every year.
So,
Consolidated is a 3-year contract, and so that I don't think they move their price point 3 years.
I'm at the point though, like, I'm gonna ballpark the number at $800 right now to say that if that's our monthly increase, I think we ought to just get it done because we're crippled here.
Well, what it amounts to is, and this is on my sheet that I sent out, the remaining 6 months of the year, it's just under $400, by $1.25. Can we find $400 in our executive line budget?
I don't think it's, it's not even there's no discussion needed in my opinion. It's just a question of getting it done. How much more of a decrease do you think Spectrum's gonna provide?
Now,
And let's just,
Then let's go with consolidated and put it behind us.
all right.
But, I'm throwing that out there. I'm sorry if I said that.
No. Well, that's,
Sorry about that.
when you look at the sheet I sent you, it kind of becomes evident that the consolidated is the best way to go.
I don't know how I missed that, Chuck. I'm sorry.
so you gotta put a forward vote on it, get it done?
Yeah, please make a motion if you
I'll
still.
make a motion to accept the consolidated for, was it $796.08? Is that?
No, the consolidated communications proposal,
Yes.
just
Okay,
leave it at that,
all right.
for internet and phone systems.
You did the work, why don't you?
All right, will
Exactly.
you withdraw your motion, sir?
I withdraw my
Okay.
motion. That's-
So, I'll make a motion that we accept the consolidated communication services proposal for internet and phone service for the town offices, including the fire department and, Snow Road.
Also, I second that.
The Hart seconds. Mr. Fuller made the motion. Roll call vote, please. All in favor?
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Cahalan, aye.
All right.
Moving along, something's
Nice
getting
work,
done.
Chuck.
And I did on this final one, copy the budget chair on the document, so he should see what you should see.
And I've got to appreciate that the folks on the budget committee are gonna be sympathetic to the needs, that they're so great, that it's a part of doing business. I don't
Yep.
think there's.
I'm sure there's gonna be questions on it when we get into the budget, but with all the differences in the quality and the stuff we're not providing to our citizens today, it'll be evident.
Well, in messaging was, a discussion earlier, and this allows us to message, which is gonna interrupt Mr. Fuller here, because this is work you guys had all done on the video equipment. Would it be appropriate to order that equipment now in your?
I would think so, yes.
Let's talk to Lynn Hart tomorrow, because his company will be here working with us, and get that locked in.
And find out from a timing standpoint, because once we say yes, it's still gonna take a few weeks for Consolidated to do everything
Sure.
they need to do, so.
But we do have a proposal for a ballpark, $120, I think, for all the equipment we needed to go.
It was more than that.
798, I believe.
I think that's correct.
So it's not more, it's less, $798, $800.
No, it was like a $3,000 proposal to begin with, and Brian got it down to $798.
Yeah, because he added things, not Brian, Lenhart, they
Well, what,
parts of the
we
conversation.
had to take the camera off the back wall and set it middle. That reduced the price by a significant amount of money.
Okay, but the point being, we have a proposal that we all thought was reasonable. I
Yeah.
would say that if Lenhart's in here tomorrow, I want you to be authorized, I want the board to authorize you to order that, because we're getting our services to be able to upload this, and that's been the stalling point on that purchase, was we wanted to make sure we could take advantage of it, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, we couldn't do it with the internet service we've got, so,
so
today.
that's a go,
I'm good.
I'm good.
okay, so
So it's a motion, and it's a,
it doesn't even need to be a motion, we're just authorizing you to make that purchase on what was there, but if you'd like to put a motion in, I'm fine with that.
We probably ought to have something, the final document Brian's got for the price tag, that we can basically review and okay.
Well, we already reviewed it, and we're already happy with it. Why stall? I wanna keep moving forward, I'm sorry. That equipment gets our message out.
So he's gonna order video equipment, is this the wordage?
What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna make a motion to authorize Brian to purchase per our original, estimate presented by Lenhart Systems, that equipment, so that we can move forward with videoing, videotaping and our meetings.
I'll second that.
We good?
And I only have one edit to your motion,
Certainly.
the modified proposal, not the original proposal.
Yeah, yes. Modified.
And I'm good. Chuck Fuller, aye.
Hal and I, thank you.
And last item I have, the email thing that's gonna be basically happening tomorrow. The website only allows one login ID and password for an administrator. So as soon as Lenhart is here, the call will go to Teresa from this office that he's here, she's coming down, and they'll sign in and do whatever Lenhart needs to do on the town website under the administrative codes. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, then, cool. A lot of things, have been covered. So, let's see, I've got some work to do on the legal stuff. Randy's not here, so fire station repairs, we're, gonna be looking for Randy's approval, get some quotes, we can touch base with him on that. Chuck, you're still looking at some heating system information from you?
Yeah, I did not hear back. I did not get a chance to follow up with him. And that was one of the things that got by me.
All right.
Did that today.
Kind of a heads up is, Ron Evans, is supposed to be in town Wednesday or Thursday, weather permitting, to do, well, the whole crew's coming to town, I'm hoping this week. Green Mountain Road, the culvert's gonna get installed this week, Wednesday or Thursday, weather permitting. There will be delays. The road could be closed for a period of time. I can't give you a hard and fast date and time. It's subject to, you know, it might rain Wednesday, so hopefully it's gonna happen tomorrow. So we don't have a lot of ability to get messaging out. It's the rain that created a hole in Ron's schedule that's allowing him to come to town. So we'll take what we can get at this point.
Yeah, when I saw the culverts on the trailer yesterday, I figured that's where they're headed.
Yeah, I said, just get it in, we're behind, so,
Ron, is he gonna pick up the whole rest, the old?
some of the other things that will be happening is crews will be back in town to remove ditching materials. We've got some people that have access, blocked off in certain areas, so we're gonna be back to that, collecting the old culverts, cleaning out culverts, et cetera. Grading obviously is going to be revisited throughout the town, and certainly the calcium chloride, materials are available again, so as the grading and the calcium is, you know, goes hand in hand. So we're back.
And I'm good if he doesn't do the snow road piece, because it's only about 150 feet of washboard, and I'd rather have the calcium chloride than have that all dug up and have that dusty as hell in that one area.
Okay.
And there's only about 3-4 cars that go over that road an entire day anyway, and they all live on the road.
Well, some of our, major thoroughfares, like the Granite Road.
That's needed.
We'll be putting an emphasis on, on those areas, and places that have not been, addressed earlier in the season because of the shortages, and the grading now is falling apart because we didn't have the calcium chloride. All right. So, moving down my list, hazardous waste day, we covered that, covered the volunteers as well. This is just kind of a public service announcement. We know we covered it last week, but property deeds, those will be available, letters going out on July 2nd, so anybody who is behind to that level of 3 years will be getting notified that their property is in jeopardy of being taken by the town. With that, I'm hoping maybe towards the end of the week, if somebody's available, maybe Tom, you're down the street, you wanna put the notice boards up, because maybe we'll revisit posting the notice boards on people's taxes. Not everybody has internet, not everybody can get to the kiosk, maybe not everybody understands. It's easy enough to get to the notice board. We won't put your names, but we'll put the property, map lot, and the amount of money owed. And maybe that's sufficient information if you're a member of the public and you don't know where you stand. It's just come up to the window, the building, you see it, the building's restricted for entry, so this is an option to just inform. Is everybody comfortable?
Good.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
All right, then we'll do that. Green
And
Mountain.
a day you wanna put them up?
If there is.
I got Thursday open.
Oh, great. I can do Thursday.
This Thursday, tomorrow? This Thursday.
Yeah. My only other thing is being out at the road crew, depending tomorrow, and that won't be all day.
All right.
All right. I've got kind of an open-ended commitment from, Mr. Spofford at the Green Mountain Treatment Center. And, we're looking to have him come in. And, I'm looking to actually schedule a public hearing at this point, I believe is what we probably ought to be doing, is, have an outdoor meeting, say on the 14th, it's our regular meeting day, at 5 p.m., because, Mr. Spofford is looking to make donations to the town on a quarterly basis for, our ambulance services, EMS. There's a recognition by, Green Mountain Treatment Center that a lot of that EMS service does go to their facility, and, they've reached out and they want to contribute to cover what they feel is their fair share of the usage. So I've had ongoing communications over the last couple of years with Mr. Spofford to get all the information to him and his board so they can assess the impact. And a lot of these communications the board's known about. There's been some that I've just had one-on-ones with him, and I let him, full disclosure, I told him I'm not representing the board if they didn't send me here. And even in those meetings when you guys knew I was going there, it was the same thing. I hadn't been authorized the board to do anything in official capacity. It was just to share information and give the perspective of what the town's kind of, the vibe that's coming from the town on the issue. This is the end results of it. The donations, we need to have a public hearing on, because the cumulative amounts through the course of the year is going to be in excess of $10,000. And that needs to be done, accepted in front of the public, or the provision is made that we're going to accept. So that's what I'm looking at there. I will say that we didn't have an absolute target amount that would, they can alter what they're going to give or at any point. But Mr. Spofford was talking approximately $10,000 a quarter, $40,000 a year, which is a very significant, huge amount of money, and would certainly help our EMS contract that right now is at about $84,202. I think there's some change in there. So that's almost 50% of the contract this year. And I know he has some other information to share about the business, where it's going to go, and how they may actually mitigate this whole, the usage in the neighborhood. So I'll leave that for him to share at the hearing. Anyway, I would like to say that the 14th, 5 p.m., and with a rain date of the 15th at 5 p.m., should that be an issue for this month, July 14th? Does that work for everybody here?
Yep. Yep.
All right, great. I will reach out to Mr. Spofford today and confirm that that date still does work for him, for those dates. And then I was also thinking, public hearing-wise, if we might have another public hearing outdoors, again, probably at 5 p.m. once again, July 21st, with a rain date of July 22nd for the, false alarms, inspection, ordinance, cemetery, all the things we want to bring in front of the public. And I think we're close enough to set a date.
I think we are.
And then,
I think one more meeting, we'll have it nailed.
okay, and then we just need to generate some of the, documents that if the public comes, that we can show them what the proposals are. So that's, we'll tighten that up as we go. That one is etched in stone then, the July 21st with a rain date of the 22nd.
What time?
5 p.m. I think that was, our old meeting times in the, when, back in the days of no COVID. So we'll just, that gives people an opportunity to get here who may be working and it's not so late at night that it's getting dark.
On the July 14th one, is that gonna allow enough time for public notice in the paper?
Yeah, I think so. It's, today's, we get that out this week. What are you thinking?
I think it's at least 14 days, right?
Well, I think it's only 10 days.
Business days? I'll have to look. I'm always,
Either 10 or 14.
yeah.
I think it's 10 days for the notice for this, donations. Yeah, I know, Brian, we had that RSA, it's sitting on my table at home.
Yeah, I have it. I'm always thinking it's 14, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's 14. I think it would be 10 with 1 day for to get into the paper. Then it's a matter of when it goes in the paper. So if we don't have to wait for, say, Saturday or something, if we notice in the, Conway Sun.
If we send the notice today, we meet the 14 days anyway.
Right, as long as we put it in the Conway Sun, the Independent takes so long to come out. We'll never get it in today for the Thursday. So we'll just do the Conway Sun,
And post something on the outside of the building.
posting the website, on the building, however it goes.
Post up a library too sometimes, right?
Yeah, the
You can do it,
website.
you can do it on the bulletin board on the outside of the building there.
That's where you're supposed to go in the meetings and all that.
Well, you're supposed to, back in the day, those were the two places you'd post to cover your, statutory requirements for noticing. The website now serves as one, so you can do just the building here and the website, you'll be covered. But we can certainly do it at the library, I just didn't know how much volume, foot traffic was there anymore.
They're already up there.
Okay. All right, then,
Thanks, Trish.
do that. Okay, then, we've got some public hearings on the books. Then,
Mike, the one for the 14th will just, a public hearing for the town to accept, in excess of $10,000 a year.
right, yeah,
And stop at that. right?
exactly, correct. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna take a minute here, one of our board members was called out of the room, so we'll take a second before moving on. Gives me a chance to review the numbers of the drop.
While we're taking a break, Mr. Hart, did you get a chance to look at the roof in the annex and see if there's leak?
No, I'm gonna go out after this.
I suspect it may be snow buildup that's causing the leak, and not just rain. Ice buildup on the edges.
Well, the amount of rain we had the past 2 days, if it's leaking, it's gonna show now.
Unless it's puddling because of the jam on the edge of the roof that covers back,
Yeah, very well, yeah.
which is what I suspect is really happening.
Are you guys still in meeting?
Yes, but Mr. Fuller had to step out, so we're taking a break. Do you have something?
Yeah, a resident on Parsonsville Road just called because they've had ATVs riding up and down Plantation Road. Speaking of grading, she says last night it was particularly bad. She doesn't believe they're Effingham residents. She thinks they might be coming up the road out of Parsonsfield. I think ATVs on a public roadway is Fish and Game. But just so I don't know, maybe we wanna let our police department know as well to be patrolling. I don't know, what you guys
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those, you need to catch them in the moment.
Yeah, you have to
So-
catch them in the act.
So this is not Parsonsfield Road, it's Plantation Road.
Plantation Road,
Coming
I'm
out of
sorry, did I
Parsonsfield
say-
Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's common with,
She suspects that they're coming, you know, up the road out from Parsons.
sure.
She doesn't, there's not any kids that live on that Plantation Road in the New Hampshire side that are this age group.
Okay, then,
Don't have four-wheelers.
I would forward that to the Effingham PD, I would think, and they, maybe through their email address,
Yeah,
Yeah, and if it's fishing game, they'll contact them, right?
yeah, I'll let them know, maybe they can
or you
contact
could
them.
always text the chief too, if you wanted, and Sergeant, to let him know that.
Yeah, but just
Well,
so
that's what I
you
mean,
know,
let the
there's
chief
another.
contact fishing game.
Yeah, if they're in the moment, she can call Fish and Game,
Yeah,
but,
I'm gonna look up a phone number for her to call, and when it's happening,
Yeah.
she can call Fish and Game.
all right, so, we were back at, Mr. Fuller's back in the room, we have, our public hearings are being scheduled, and I need to make notes of that. I'm also looking to see if we can't, at our July 1st meeting, if we can't shoot for trying to get, a couple of things in front of us. They're not so much a public hearings, I don't believe, outside load limits would be, to adopt, not load limits, I'm sorry, no through trucking. So I think that's something we could, consider putting a public hearing for, and if it's not on the July 21st, maybe the 28th, so we can get the language together, for the 28th, how about that?
This is another public hearing?
Yes, but this would only take place at the selectmen's meeting, and that would be for no through trucking and to adopt a load limit and stop sign ordinance. Load limits and stop sign ordinance, they don't require a public hearing, but no through trucking would. The reason I would still entertain no through trucking for Champion Hill Road is the RSA for load limits is so convoluted, and it may not actually work for us on that road to keep us to a certain truck size. I mean, the weight limits, it'd be difficult, I think, to keep certain size vehicles off there. So no through trucking might be the better alternative. And there again, if maybe Brian and the PD or myself, we can narrow that down if I'm accurate or not before that date. Because looking at the RSA, it breaks it down by pounds, by axles. If your tires are X feet apart, if they're 40 inches, you know, in size, it just gets to the point where if we can have a NASA engineer posted on the road, we might be able to enforce this. I'm thinking no through trucking is usually not a good way to go, but in this case, it might actually be the way to go.
Yeah, what is the definition of no through trucking? That doesn't stop UPS and stuff like that.
Well, we'll
It stops UPS from going through. It does not stop them if they have deliveries.
Well, that's what I mean, they would have to come in and deliver.
Right.
Okay.
and then there's waiver policies and processes should that be an issue. Anyway, I think hopefully by the 28th, we should be able to have something together to firm up some of the road issues, enforcement issues on those items. So let's shoot for that, mark your calendars, I guess.
Is it all right if I charge the PD with the responsibility of developing a draft?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's see, some notice boxes we've got. I'm thinking that, we have not filled the position at the transfer station. We are looking for a self-motivated individual, must be able to work without, having direction, works on their own, and communicates well both in, orally and in writing. And perhaps we should have some kind of a sign down at the transfer station saying that we're hiring, looking for someone. Because that's kind of a high volume area and somebody may have an interest, and just put a sign there. It's cheap too. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
No, it's a good idea, put a sign in.
Yeah, something about it, we can put signage on the building. And if we wanted to, we could even do a handout.
And maybe just a sign, and maybe when people are leaving too, down, there's a set of trees there.
Yeah.
With now hiring, you know, at the end transfer, something simple.
Okay.
I don't know. You want that one, Chuck? I see you.
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Oh, great, wonderful. And certainly, you know, when we have somebody come in, we're looking for somebody who's gonna be able to fill certain, criteria, like I said, the ability to do a few things. The transfer station is an evolving environment.
There are requirements in place, so.
Yeah, we won't put that on our sign, but we're, you know, when they come in, if somebody wants to apply, we are looking for somebody who's, you know, got some skills. All right, then the other thing I had today was, because Brian had mentioned a while back that, we were going to need to start looking for somebody for his position, and my discussions with the Budget Committee Chairman were that we would try to do something prior to the budget cycle, employment-wise, with the TA's job, the town administrator's job, to get it out there. I think it's gonna be a tough job to fill, and we're gonna be looking for a real niche, person here, I guess. Maybe that's not the right words, but I took the liberty of putting a little bit of a draft together for an advertisement. This in no way reflects the job description. I do have a lot of advertisements for job town administrators over the last few years. I've been pulling off town municipal websites and such. So, Chuck, I'll slide this thing to you. That was one draft. This is another one. I only altered some of the following stuff on the bottom.
So these are two different?
No, only the bottom one where I include as a contact myself for questions. The other one keeps me totally out of it, which I'm pretty good with, and just let it go through the office. But all the rest of the content is the same, and we certainly could alter any of that. And I do have a lot of requirements that people were asking for. I distilled it to that.
Yeah, the only issue I have, knowing what we're going through and what we've been going through, is I'm not sure 32 hours a week is enough.
Well, you know, again, it's a temporary, part-time position. We're at liberty to move that around. I didn't want to put out part-time and have people think it might be 20 hours. At least if we had people that reacted, there's room to move things. Money, how many hours a week, that kind of thing. I guess it could be, it could be amended. If the person came in, they were working part-time, you can always expand their hours if needed. I don't want to get into full-time because we're not budgeted for the benefits package, and at least if we get to the budgeting cycle and we are unable to fill the position, that's when we have to ask the Budget Committee to provide more for the following year. We have a tentative agreement with Mr. Burke. He's offered to stay with us to as far as next June-ish, I guess.
A week from today.
A week from today, next year.
A week from today.
So this is So this is kind of could go out in two blocks. Block one is to see if anybody's interested in this way, and then if we're having difficulties, at least we have that behind us to bring to the Budget Committee to say we're basing this on something. I did have a brief discussion with the Budget Committee Chair, who supports the effort of doing this and fully appreciates this may not work out the way we want, in which case he'd be more receptive to hear the rest of the story.
Let's get it out.
Okay. And like I said, Tom, that one I just gave Tom only has, that they can call the chair for questions. I threw it out both ways because I don't really need to be
So the
involved.
resume's gonna come in, they're gonna go to Brian?
Yes, and only Brian Burke at effingham.net, because sensitive personal information is in resumes. Only Brian is going to get that, only the town administrator is getting it. They handle those.
Now, are you comfortable leaving your number and all on it? I mean,
I just threw that out because I didn't know if Brian would want me to have any input or anything if people had.
I think the select board should, I mean,
Well, Brian has a lot of stuff on his plate, and I'm absolutely comfortable not being involved at any level at that, on that.
Yeah.
So I leave that to the discretion of others, how that proceeds.
Me personally, I'm with, and if you're okay with it, I think the select board should have some sort of,
Well, I was only gonna answer questions if the candidates had questions about what are we looking for, like, you know, maybe that's,
because,
Comfortable.
you know, he's gonna be leaving, retiring, whatever. And so he won't be here if, for the person we do hire, whereas if they got questions now, better off getting them right from the,
well, and it might be a step too far because we do go through an interviewing process. I'm just trying to get it.
I don't wanna
interview.
screw up that process by jumping into it.
Yeah,
Let's see what we get for resumes.
yeah,
If we don't, I mean, we'll know within a period of time here, within 60 days or so, whether we're getting any kind of traction, and if not, we'll have to come back and revisit how we worded it.
Yeah.
But, you know, at this stage, I'd just let it go, come into the office to Brian, see
Yeah.
what we get, and then I'm in agreement with you. I think we're gonna have to modify it down the road.
yeah, okay, then, so,
I think the one thing that you ought to add, if it's coming to me, and I'm the only one that's supposed to say it, envelopes should be marked, town administrative position or something like that.
okay,
So it doesn't get just opened up if you're trying to
right.
keep the stuff.
Then I will, if I haven't sent that to Chris yet in yourself, I will send it. It's in Word, so you can alter that, and then we can just get that out to like the New Hampshire Municipal Association. You can wordsmith whatever, you know, if you need to put something else in to convey it. But I think it's kind of all set, that ad part. But with the Municipal Association, I don't know if you need to add anything to them or what. And then we'll get it out to the local papers and wherever you think it should go, websites. But, you know, we're certainly gonna be reaching beyond the town.
I think your best, coverage for people will be newspaper and municipal association. I'm not sure too many people come to our website to see what positions are open.
Yeah.
I put it there, yes, but I think the biggest response will come either from newspaper or the municipal association.
And I guess, is there any newspapers that we want to, like the Union Leader, is that worth going there? Is it too far reaching and not?
It's not too far reaching if you want to get a reasonable pool. Union Lead is expensive.
Yeah, that's you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know, are there any other, papers that we would advertise in that are more in the general area? It may not be across the state though. So, I mean, I'm open to advertising in a few places personally to get
What
this
about
out.
across the border?
Right, shopper's guide.
Yeah, there's people close by that are qualified.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. So if you ladies have some ideas and you wanna share those with Brian, and, I mean, Chuck's in thought here, I don't know how Tom feels about, you know, spending a few bucks to get the word out.
Oh, I think we got it.
yeah, absolutely.
This is an investment. This is a good-sized investment for us.
Okay.
And the more we can gather from,
And up in Conway, right, don't they do the unemployment thing up there, like, what is it up in Conway?
Oh,
works,
sure. Yeah.
Works, they call
Oh,
it.
New Hampshire Works.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe reaching out there
That's a
too,
good
in case we
idea.
have some professionals that are looking
Are
to.
you doing any, websites like Indeed.com or Monster.com?
That's the way to go nowadays. That's where people go.
Their employment websites, you go on there, you look for jobs.
Yeah.
That sounds great, and since we have, Ms. Amaral, our town tax collector, stepping in briefly here, if you three ladies wanna help, Brian in focusing on some websites and areas to advertise, I would support letting that kinda out of the bag and let you guys do that, because.
Indeed.com will give a good
Yeah,
exposure.
the online rating, what people do now.
Okay, so yeah, let's get it out. So if everybody would contribute to that process, if you have any ideas of where to advertise, that we can hopefully find someone that.
Would I be allowed to interject right now?
Yes.
Sure.
I just got off the Zoom meeting with the Secretary of State, Secretary of State's office. And they will be providing, green shields that go from the table, I think they were 43 inches, with an opening here for each poll worker. Right. They're gonna give us a gallon of the hand sanitizer for the voters. And then each of us will have our own personal one on the table behind the shield. When we pass out a ballot, we're gonna pass out a paper mat. And the voter is going to use that to sit on the table, and they're gonna vote on top of that. The mat will be thrown away by them when they pass their ballot in. And they're also going to supply I don't know if this was a mistake, but they said pencils for the voters to vote with and throw away or take home with them. And they will be providing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the moderator, anybody, election official, to process absentee ballots.
That was gonna be the big one.
Yeah.
Just want to mention, something I read was, sanitizers and different things are rated differently. So a disinfectant is like, that's the one that kills bacteria and stuff. So if you have some concerns, if you had disinfectant wipes, that's the next level. So if you wanted to wipe down an area after a certain amount of use, a sanitizer may not be your item of choice, a disinfectant.
Yeah, what about the cans of Lysol that we have?
That's a disinfectant.
We bought, remember there's a gallon of disinfecting cleaner in that back room that we picked up at Job Lot?
So now we're on election. We're on election stuff, and I know there was an email out that had a lot of quiz questions and stuff, and Deanna, you and I did go over them, so I think that for the most, you had answers, and you've been in touch with the Secretary of State, you went to the training, so I guess you and the moderator have talked to some degree, and I guess a lot of the.
And a lot of that is on hold until they give us ways to work around the statutes that are in place.
Okay.
We're meeting again, the town clerks are meeting again on the 14th with Secretary of State's office, that they'll have answers to the other round of questions that were posed today.
Okay.
And you're also doing that with moderators Wednesday, and then supervisors with checklists maybe Thursday.
All right. Well, this is just my view of the whole election process. I think the selectman's office, we should be out of this whole thing entirely unless you guys need something from us. Because I think the elections, election planning and stuff, I think there's a reason why governors and city councilmen and mayors and selectmen aren't in this whole mix of dealing with the election. I think it probably goes somewhere along the line of election fraud, or somebody could perceive as too much involvement by somebody in the positions we have or our office. So for the most, I'd like to remove our office out of the process unless it's just to submit, cost things, receipts or whatever. Certainly if there's things that we can provide that you need to go to us for, we're gonna support everything.
But on election day, you'll be there working, helping.
Right, and I'm looking to get.
And for counting as well, I have to look at it again, but I'm pretty sure selectmen are the count.
And that was my other question on this, is to find out what is the actual role of the selectmen. I'd like to know, because I've been asked before to handle ballots. I wanna know that I'm supposed to, or the other selectmen are supposed to be doing those functions. So if you have.
So you have a manual, I gave you one, Tom, recently. he's got it right there, so you
Big
have it.
yellow,
Well, Chuck does it.
oh, I don't have
No,
that.
that'll count.
It's the big
It's
book?
a big
Yeah,
yellow.
the yellow one, yeah. I've been
It's got
looking
the
for
whole
it.
chapter on
Got it
it.
somewhere. Okay, great. And I'll look,
Okay.
thanks.
Chuck, you still have one, right? gave
I
you
think so, but I'll check when I go home.
Okay. That's where your roles are.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I just don't want us to stumble into something. The town's had a little history a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and I don't,
Well, no part of it.
I want to, an arm's length isn't, I can't be more, I want a lot further away from this if, you know,
Yeah.
till election day and I stand around in the public's eye and fill whatever role I'm supposed to fill. That's as far as I want to get
I'm
involved.
backing up a little.
I'm 100% behind you on that one.
Marilyn
Nothing,
Hahn, when she was the town clerk tax director, she was what was known as a super clerk.
Right,
That happens when you don't have supervisors in the sector interested in learning the computer. Of course, it does everything, but Marilyn wanted it that way as well. She wanted that kind of control. So it's just the way things always been done. When she quit and I took over, I worked with the moderator, separated, you know, what the moderator does and what I do, but, I still do way more than I'm supposed to. So I'm backing up a little too.
well, like you pointed out earlier, you found out that this, the budget may not actually belong in your office. It might belong in our office, probably to pay the receipts that are ordered for the items the moderator may be ordering, right? So we gotta define those roles. We'll be looking. Great. And, it's like I said, it's not to get out of helping out, it's just,
right, yeah.
Validate, wasn't that?
Yeah, 2018 ballot gate.
He's got like a full man.
Selectmen were lining up for their polygraph test, it's like, I'm good over here.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna stay out of it, accept the questions?
Well, I mean, everybody, you guys do whatever you
I
feel
wanna
you
know
should.
the-
I mean, there's a chapter on what our role is, and we should, you know, follow that. I think we have enough things going on in our office, and I prefer to stay out of it, but, you know, I don't know where other people are. If people
I
play a
saw what
role.
happened that last time we had ballot gate. Wasn't pretty for anybody,
No,
you know, and it made it pretty thick around town, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand planning part of the election is unlikely that anything could possibly
Right.
take place. But I just want a distance.
Right.
I
I mean, no one thought that would take place, and it did.
Right, and that's, but, there again, you know, people are, if you wanna know what's going on, get the email, stay involved, Zoom, whatever, that's, you know, do
Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with. I think our office should probably play a minimal role and support Deanna or, Susan, should they need anything. I'm not saying don't
Right.
help, I just wouldn't get too forward into the process. I
I'm
think that
talking about
belongs to
select-
others.
Three of
Oh,
us.
well, hey, we can all do whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm looking to say, I'm comfortable not getting
Mhm.
involved until election day. That's just me. All right, moving on. We already got the letters out before. I made some adjustments to our letters where it says, "We, the selectmen of Effingham," these are to go to the school district. And, that was in the first paragraph. And then after examples, there's a second paragraph on the second line. It had I have the Effingham selectmen feel strongly. That was a change because we were kind of getting inclusionary with other selectmen. So I altered that so every town can just make that their own document. And by that, Chuck, I'll start over here. I've added on those two lines, where other towns can add their own town name in, and then just kind of mail it in, and then there won't be a need for an additional signing sheet or anything. Again, that's that.
Yep.
And on the one I gave Tom, there's a second sheet behind that just gives a little instructions on, for people to, you know, add your town's name where it's highlighted in blue. So,
Yeah, I think adding another line on there about sharing my email to the towns involved, if you want.
Yeah, right.
It's a good add-on for Brian's suggestion.
And that'll be in Word, so you can take that second page that I put a little bit of instruction in and add in, you know, please confirm or deny you're going to be involved or something.
It's good.
And I'll shoot that off so that you guys can deal with that today, and if it was able to get out today, great, tomorrow's another day, understood. So,
Are we gonna accept Mr. Kohler's recommendation as the chair sign to the board?
I put 3, signing things. I'm happy to have the entire board's name on this because I think this is a big thing. I think, if the town looks at it down the road or at any point in
I
time.
think he was looking at getting it out today.
Expediency is the only thing I was looking for.
Well, it's,
But if that's the case, I don't mind.
yeah, and I think that, our copy is probably available to sign.
Well, it hasn't got the seal on, it's gotta be.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, you know, to that, if we're all gonna sign it, we can either all come back or get it to Chuck or, I'm flexible,
Yeah,
whatever.
We'll put it together and notify you all, so you know I'll come back and sign it.
Okay.
No issue for me. Chuck has a way to go.
Well, this is a big one to me, so I'll come.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do we wanna send a copy of this Shaker School system thing out or leave that alone? It might be over the
Yeah.
top.
I don't know if I'd send it to the school district, but maybe the others.
Well, that's what I meant, the other selectmen to kind of give a reference to it, but,
Yeah, that would be okay.
okay. Do you have this, or you could scan it to if you needed it?
I can scan it if I need it. I think I have it, but I'm not positive.
I'll just leave that with you in case. All right, let's see, we covered the governor's order earlier, what's that? Then, transfer station, that leaves me with town-owned properties, and Gwen is here, our assessing expert clerk, best in the nation.
I heard that too.
I want a gold star.
We'll get it to you.
We'll order a box today.
They like me too much. So what do you want me to say?
Well,
Give
we,
you a breakdown of where we are?
yeah, just a high-level kind of breakdown. I mean, a lot of these lots are already in the town's possession legally, and some of them are not, right?
Yeah, the first sections are town properties, like this building, the library, et cetera, et cetera. Then the next section, lots to consider conveying or auctioning. These are lots that just have been hanging around. Some of these you may want to consider deeding to Concom because there's no road to the lot. They're probably somewhat underwater, very marshy. Some of them already abut Concom land.
The Black Gum area is one
Yeah,
of
the Black
them.
Gum area. And then, the ones with the little asterisks beside them, since we started this whole thing of trying to determine, sending out butter letters to the owner unknowns, which are last on the list. The ones with asterisks by them, I've been able to find tax collector deeds. So those have come out of the owner unknown and they've been put into the conveyor auction category. Next section, what the Effingham Conservation Commission already has in its possession. Then we're into the owner unknown, and these are what I call the worst of the worst in Effingham. And currently, I sent out a butter letters to people who bought these properties. I'm still waiting. I sent them out in stages because I've had other things to attend to. So, I think the last request for any communication from an abutter, I set the date for July 17th. So hopefully by then we'll there isn't a lot of information out there, most of the abutters don't know, a few of them did know. For instance, if you look at the second page under owner unknown, I came across the George Wilmington ownership of 102-21-1, that dates back to 1913. Then we have an owner, Charles H. Smith, that is referenced on some survey plans, and also confirmed by Mr. Watt. And there's also, then there's, Mr. Claude, he owns Farm by the River. He came in with some information. Then the next one is owner Marsh Heirs. You don't have tax collector deeds for these two, but I did find references to these properties, called out in certain deed book and pages to abutting properties. The Marsh Heirs is a deed, a plan, a deed of, after a survey of the Spinnet land up there, the deed references this, property as being part of owned by the Marsh Heirs, whoever they are. I found Ralph Marsh back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, but I just can't seem to pin into this particular property. Some of these parcels that are backland lots, are pasture land. People would take their cattle to spring or summer pastures, so cattle would be taken up there to pasture for the summer. So that's, a lot of these came as a result of that, so they're kind of just been hanging out there. So I don't know, well anyways, I'll just continue on. On hold, I have down here, I have 40837. That's a lot that has been claimed by a resident that they own. However, I have found a tax collector deed that states the town owns it. And I cannot connect this lot to the person claiming that they own it. But I do have a tax collector deed.
Now, Glenn,
The town owns it.
you and I went through this one, you showed me the information
Right.
you have. I'd be comfortable moving that one to, town-owned properties to consider
Okay.
conveying or auctioning. And I say this because
Okay.
the person who feels they own this property purchased this well after the town had, a deed for the property we have. It's like, there's a big rectangle, and a chunk of the rectangle, about 20 acres, is lumped out of there. This gentleman thinks he owns that other rectangle within the rectangle. We have a deed saying he doesn't, and it was never conveyed to anybody, to the owner who sold this individual his rectangle. So the town, should the town have sold it to anyone, or the owner who preceded this gentleman who wants to lay claim, there would be some records, and there aren't. So I think it's nice to want what you want, but the proof is in the deed. You don't know.
That's why title searches before purchase are a pretty good idea.
Right, exactly. So I'll move that up to the block to consider conveying or whatever section. If you want me to do that, that's fine.
I think you've got appropriate
Yeah, I think
documentation.
there's enough, I'm convinced that it belongs to the town of Effingham.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt, so. Then this next one owned by Fred Bickford, this little 414-6 is like, I don't know, 6/10 of a acre of land, off of, Pine River Road. There's a survey, on the other side, on the Ossipee side of Pine River Road, there is a subdivision. I cannot recall the name of it right at this minute, but, and then there's another larger parcel that abuts that subdivision that was owned by this Fred Bickford's father. When this subdivision in Ossipee did their little plan, there's a little corner down at the bottom that abuts Effingham, where there was a boundary line agreement done between the subdivider and the Bickford. And I suspect that this little triangle piece seems to fit into another survey that was done on Bachicchio's property when he subdivided. It fits right in there, and that's where this little 6/10 of an acre, I mean, it's so small. So I've spoken with Mr. Bickford, and he doesn't disbelieve me that he owns it. I don't know how you guys wanna proceed with that. I'm thoroughly convinced he owns it. Oh, I did send it to our cartographers. I sent the info to Cartographic, yesterday to have them take a look at it to see if they also agree that that's part of Mr. Bickford's property. Because that resulted as, I believe that came out of our tax map revisions, when we revised from the old maps to the new maps, and all the lot numbers changed. But when you're doing a town, and they come up with a little piece like this, they're not gonna go over and look at Ossipee, they're just looking at Effingham. So, I've sent that to Cardo to see if they can just confirm that Mr. Bickford owns that little $400 piece of property, but we'll see what they come back with. I believe he does. I believe it's part of his, little lot boundary line thing, but.
All right, Glenn, then, it looks to me like under owner unknown, there's 7 properties that don't have anybody remotely attached to them.
Yeah, not yet.
And those are the ones you're still working on, I guess,
I'm still waiting to hear from a few of them, 407, 43, 44, 45, 13, 6. Yeah, I'm still waiting to see if some of the abutters come back with anything on those for me. And then we'll see where we are. After July 17th, then I don't get a call.
all the ones of let's say like 4 of them.
Yeah, the
first,
Wellington, the Smith, and the Marsh shares.
Well, not on those, let me back you back up to the ones that are all off Pine River Road. There's 4 of them.
Yeah,
Those are all along the river landlocked pieces, am I correct?
yeah.
Okay, so if those were to get straightened out, we would be giving them to Conservation Commission.
Yep, I would agree with that.
So those 4 are not the big issue for us at this point. There's 3 other pieces that Gwen's looking at that, well, if she gets them squared away in time, great, along with the ones that
Right.
associated some potential owner names to.
Most of these are backland or off of, I mean, I think the majority of these lots that are left are landlocked. I have to go back, I'll go back and verify that, but, pretty sure none of them have. 'Cause off Pine River Road, then, we have the Drake Road property, there's a little tiny square piece, that's the only one I believe that has any access. The rest of them are all.
Okay, then.
Well, we'll see.
So we have, all the other ones under the town here that's from line, 17 to line 42.
Right.
Those are all properties we can dispense with should we feel the need?
Right.
Okay. All right, so on that note, I think we're gonna be good for today, but I would think that in our next meeting, we might wanna discuss the disposition of those items, 17 to 42, and the one more item that was, we're bringing back up to the table there. And then with that, we probably will wanna look at, if they're all clear, we don't have to notice anything for quiet deeds or advertising, we should go through what we want to do with them and approve either giving them to the Conservation Commission or putting an auction sale together to make them go away. And I'm not seeing it here, but Old Town Road?
Yeah, it's none of
Oh, there it
them,
is.
too.
Yeah.
We need to check on that one, Glenn, because there's a brook that runs right down through the middle of the property.
Yeah,
And it's running water in it right now when I drove by yesterday.
and what do you need to check?
Check on it.
I don't think it'll meet any of the wetland setbacks for construction on that piece because it's so small.
But that we can still sell it.
Yeah, well, no, we can sell it, yeah. But
Oh, it's no longer improved now, right?
Yeah, I just highlighted that.
Vacant, okay.
All right, so, that's an update. So Gwen is still working on what you see there, and, then we have a good amount of properties that take these sheets, take a look at them, you can make your assessments on where the property is and if they have value to sell or if they should go to the Conservation Commission or something. But we want to probably make this happen this summer because that's when you have the most folks around to take advantage of any, you know, to the public sale.
And there are a few of these that we most recently, there are a few that abutters have through this process. I think there's 2 abutters that have expressed interest in properties that abut theirs, too, so.
Yeah, so if they're landlocked and the abutters are, the various abutters, that's when we probably do as, justice may require or whatever, and approach the abutters. Maybe that's a sealed bid, maybe it's part of an auction, I don't know. Maybe you just ask anybody if they have an interest or looking to sell it, and just figure out the best way, fairest way to proceed with the abutters, and make the sale right to them. All right, then, so that's been something I've been chasing for a while, and I found myself in over my head, so that's when I brought Gwen to the table on that.
Need the best assessor around, that one?
And yeah,
This is a head spinner, trust me.
So, thank you so very much for all your efforts on this. This is not easy work. Thank you.
Right, you're very welcome. It's fun sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. We did get some complaints as we do through the summer, business. But I've got one individual that was, sent something in an email, and it was directed to Chris. It says, Chris, why has my road not been treated with calcium chloride? Every road around me has been done, including the other side of Granite Road after the bridge that is out. You even did Wilkinson Swamp Road, for God's sake, and it's in far worse shape than mine. My side at 153 was not done. It does not need to be plowed up first. I guess that means graded. My wife has a health issue that is exasperated by the dust. I expect a positive answer to this by tomorrow morning. We pay our taxes. Perhaps next time we should withhold payment until we are given more consideration. Get this done ASAP. Ann's doctor says this is a health issue. I have also left a voicemail. I know this particular individual pretty much has a concern about the dust mediation on that road every year, and probably contacts the office annually. I would say that there's a few things I don't really like about the email. The first thing is it's not accurate. Granite Road, the other half of Granite Road over the bridge, has not been calcium chloride. It's not received the treatment, nor has Wilkinson Swamp. These roads that he mentions have not received treatment. Neither has the road I live on, Hobbs, Moody Road, West Range, Jack Russell, the end of Clough, most of Molly Philbrook, Bonneman Road, Simon Hill, Libby, Drake, Wilkinson Swamp, west side of Granite Road, the bridge section. So it may not be a complete list of the roads that haven't had treatment. Again, we've gone over why there has not been treatment, because there has been a supply issue. I don't know what more to tell this individual. As to the health concerns, I would say that the town has certain obligations and certain limitations in being able to mitigate dust and certain budgetary constraints that we're under. If you live on a dirt road and dust is a health hazard, I mean, I don't know what you do outside of keep your windows closed. If you've been there for decades.
Is this the same gentleman who told us not to grade?
It is. It is.
Well, we don't put calcium chloride down unless you grade, correct?
Well, that's...
I drove on the road Saturday, and it was a dust bowl. The truck went by me probably 20 miles an hour, and it was heavy, heavy dust, particularly coming right off 153. It's like that whole area going up that grade is like sand. so anybody driving on is kicking dust up. But it didn't look like the road really needed to be graded. I thought it was in pretty good shape compared to most of our roads in town. So, other than a calcium chloride when we can get access to it, I'm, you know,
And that's,
I think Ron needs to make a call on it from a grading standpoint, but I don't think it needs to be graded myself.
well, with the grading concern not being the issue at this time, it's supply and demand,
Of the calcium.
and we haven't been able to get it. But to the point, we can't address the health issues. I mean, if I lived on a road,
Yep.
just me, and dust was this big of a concern, and I lived this close, and I know this house is closer to the road than a lot of them houses. I mean, you have to kind of look at your own situation and make some decisions. You can't expect the town's gonna remedy certain things for you.
My house sets back 100 feet from the road, and I have to keep the windows closed on that side of the house because the dust comes in there all the time when people drive by.
So, I mean,
I can add, this person said that they've actually applied their own calcium.
and they have for years, and there again, you know the situation at where you live, those are personal decisions. I do really think that the way you word and present an email to the office staff should be considered, because I think the emails we send out say a little something about us, and if they're a little rough to the personnel who are actually just trying to do the best they can to, service all the town, I think that's a little unfair to, well, you, Chris, you don't have anything to do with this, and it's directed at you, and you're the one who gets to read it. So, on that, I just think, there's only so much that can be done, and everybody's trying to do the best we can with what we have. This gentleman sent it in. It was an action folder item last week. I feel that it's been read and addressed, and the calcium chloride is going to be coming there. I think actually Ron had that as a listed road today, should the calcium chloride have gotten applied. But I just wanted to air it out because I know the gentleman wants to be heard, so he's been heard. And with that, I think that brings us to a close for everything I've had. And unless there's anything else, anyone else, we'll call it a day.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fuller. Motion by Mr. Hart, second by Mr. Fuller. All in favor, please say aye.
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Helen, aye. Thank you all.
Have a good day.